are gathered here today in regards of William Shakespeare's actions. Everyone please confirm your presence. William Shakespeare.
Present.
Roderick.
Hey, what's poppin', G?
How's it been, G?
Not much, brother. Oh, I've been taking those Flintstone multivitamins you recommended.
Oh yeah, how's it working? Accusing lawyer McDongalls
Present.
and defending lawyer Charles Killier.
Present.
All people are present. We will continue William Shakespeare's trial. Mr. Shakespeare, are you aware of what you have been accused of?
Yes, I am aware.
Oh, well, I'll tell you anyways. You have been accused of setting up the play of Romeo and Juliet in a way that makes Romeo and Juliet's death inevitable, and prevents them from being together. Do you understand these accusations towards you, Mr. William Shakespeare?
I understand.
State your reasons for these accusations, Mr. McDongal.
Gladly, Your Honor. You see, William Shakespeare, the author of Romeo and Juliet, has set problems for Romeo and Juliet to inevitably seal their fate by the end of the play.
How so?
One of the very first notable problems is stated in the prologue. The chorus states, in the beautiful city of Verona, where our story takes place, a long-standing hatred between two families erupts into new violence, and citizens stain their hands with the blood of their fellow citizens. They first state the biggest conflict between the two families, the Montagues and the Capulets. And Shakespeare wrote Romeo as a Montague and Juliet as a Capulet, making their chances of survival much lower.
Mr. William Shakespeare, is this true?
Yes, how?
Mr. McDongalls, please continue.
The problem between those families is only the first problem stated. In Act 1, Scene 2, page 1, Mr. Capulet says to Prince Paris, "Girls who marry so young grow up too soon. But go ahead and charm her, gentle Paris. Make her love you." Mr. Capulet is referring to his daughter, Juliet Capulet. And Prince Paris wants to marry her. Mr. Capulet is promoting it.
Before you continue, Mr. William Shakespeare, of all these events happening in your play,
Yes.
you may continue.
Yes, Your Honor. In the very next scene, we learn that Lady Capulet and even the nurse promote Juliet's marriage with Paris. In Act 1, Scene 3, page 3, the nurse states, "He's as perfect as if he were sculpted from wax." The nurse is the most understanding of everyone in her family, and the fact that even she promotes the marriage between her and Paris says a lot.
Thank you, Mr. McDongalls. Now, Mr. Charles Killier, please defend your case.
Yes, Your Honor. In the prologue, we learn that the Montagues and the Capulets hate each other, but that does not definitively mean that Romeo and Juliet will die because of it. In Act 5, Scene 3, page 13, Capulet states, "Oh, brother Montague, give me your hand. This is my daughter's dowry. I can ask you for nothing more," clearly stating that they are no longer enemies. This eternal hatred was resolved, meaning that Romeo and Juliet could have been together without dying. That's false. The Monts and the Capulets decided to clear the fighting after the deaths of Romeo and Juliet. They ended it all because of Romeo and Juliet's death. That means they wouldn't have been able to avoid death this way.
Mr. Charles Killier, how do you argue against this?
I have no argument against that, but I would like to argue against this other points of evidence. Because Juliet does not have to marry Paris. It is stated that she can marry Romeo even if there are sacrifices involved. Not only that, but not everyone is against Juliet. The nurse says she could marry Paris, but to do what she wants. She states this in Act 1, Scene 3, page 5. "Go, girl. Look for a man who will give you happy nights at the end of the days." Yes, the nurse compliments Paris, but she only wants the best for Juliet. It's Juliet's decision to marry who she wants.
Mr. McDonald's, what do you have to say about this?
Yes, Paris does not get in the way immediately, but he would very, very likely kill Romeo if he knew that him and Juliet were together earlier in the play. They fought at the end of the play for that reason. They would have fought earlier too. Not only that, but in Act 3, Scene 5, page 8, Capulet states, "Go to church on Thursday, or never look at me in the face again." He says that to Juliet immediately after saying that she's worthless. Absolutely no one is on her side, and she's losing the relationship with her father because of it.
Interesting. I'll consider this in my final judgment, Mr. McDangles. Please continue.
When Romeo went to the Capulets' masquerade, Tybalt noticed Romeo and tried to kill him, even though Tybalt knew what the Prince of Verona would have done to him. So now there's another problem. This is personal beef between Tybalt and Romeo at this point.
Okay, Mr. Charles Cunha.
Tybalt was only doing what he was told to do by the Capulets. Yes, there may be personal beef involved, but that doesn't make it any more dangerous than without the beef. And in the end, Romeo kills Tybalt anyway. So why would it matter?
Mr. McDonald's.
I do about Juliet's problem with her dad. If she somehow got together with Romeo and rejected Paris, she would sacrifice the relationship with her father. And I would like to call Shakespeare to the stand.
Mr. Shakespeare, please take a seat beside me. Mr. Shakespeare, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Then you may continue.
Mr. Shakespeare, did you intentionally write those problems with the intent of making Romeo and Juliet's deaths inevitable?
Thou not speak of truth. I shall not denote myself to such a standard. To taketh souls. I wrote in the manner it is. It cast delightfulness to those observing.
So explain why they died.
Romeo made his decision, which hence pulleth him further from his love.
You made those decisions impossible for them. You indirectly did this by setting all terrible circumstances in all of those situations. For example, the letter to Romeo explaining Juliet's plan to fake her death was delayed due to Shakespeare's evil writings. This terrible circumstance led to Romeo's decision to kill himself, and hence that led to the decision of Juliet killing herself as well.
Mr. Shakespeare, please return to your seat. Now, Mr. Charles Cunha, do you have more to share?
I do, Your Honor. Romeo made it worse for himself at times by the decisions he made. For example, when he killed Tybalt. It was out of pure anger and completely on his own terms. And that action banished him from Verona, only further from Juliet.
Interesting. I will keep this in mind as well. Now, Roderick.
Yes, sir.
What do you suppose could have been an alternate conflict for Romeo and Juliet, dude? To increase their chances of survival.
I'm glad you asked, Your Honor. I think a conflict between the two families and a third party would have been better suited for this play. For example, the Montagues and the Capulets, and the Prince of Verona.
How so?
Well, that way there wouldn't be a problem with Juliet and Romeo being together, at least between the families. There could have been so many alternative conflicts that could have better suited the play. Even if the conflict wasn't changed at all, and just the letter got there a little bit sooner, their deaths could have easily been avoided. Shakespeare knew that, and took every possible route to make it impossible for Romeo and Juliet to survive in this play.
I've heard enough! I will make my final verdict in deciding whether William Shakespeare is free or will face criminal charges. Order! Order in the court! have made my final verdict. Mr. William Shakespeare, you have received the death sentence for your actions, including accomplice in murder, assist in suicides, and breaking the son of Sam, which prevents you from profiting from your own crimes. Take him away, officers!
What is this rubbish? And hold me at once. This is utter nonsense.